Well, what a return to the NFL it was last week for week 1, as it's now time for week 2 picks of the 2019 NFL season. And last week, I went 9-6-1, which is quite unfortunate. But hey, the first part of the week, after all the 1 p.m. games, I was 3-5. So the fact that I went 6-3-1 the rest of the way, I got really lucky right there. And I mean, really lucky. God, if only I could have done better, though. And here is the playoff stands of the season today. In the AFC, it's the Ravens and Bills with the byes, with the Chargers at the Raiders, and the Patriots at the Titans. And the NFC, it's the Packers and Rams with the byes, with the Cowboys at the Eagles, and the Vikings at the Saints. And right now, based upon how the playoff stands on how they're playing, I think it would be the Ravens and Packers in the Super Bowl. But right now, let's get to my Week 2 picks. So we start off Week 2 with Thursday night tonight, as it's the Buccaneers at the Panthers, as the Buccaneers are trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2014. Meanwhile, the Panthers are also trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2013. That's how long it's been for them. As the Buccaneers did not play really good against the 49ers. Jameis Winston really crapped the bed pretty much, and that team just did not look good whatsoever. Meanwhile, the Panthers, they struggled and they played hard against the Rams team, but they were down pretty much the entire game. They never really had a chance, no matter how much they tried. But I think the Panthers are going to get this one. They're the much better team. They're at home. And God, when was the last time the Buccaneers beat them in Charlotte? 2016, I believe. Yeah, I think the Panthers will get this. Then we get to the Sunday 1 p.m. game, starting with the Cardinals at the Ravens for the first time since 2011, as the Ravens are trying to go 2-0 for the first time since 2017. And wow, unbelievable. They destroyed the Dolphins. Lamar Jackson had probably the best game of his career and probably never going to be matched. 59-10, my God. Yeah, I know the Dolphins were tanking, yada, 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 and all that. But like I said, the Ravens always struggle no matter what when they visit the Dolphins. That's why I said it was a trap game and they should not underestimate them. Meanwhile, the Cardinals struggled against the Lions, but then Kyler Murray had an incredible comeback, because I was lucky enough to be able to see the rest of that game, and they ended up tying. That was an impressive comeback right there. Now, what I said last week about the Dolphins for the Ravens also applies here, as the last 2 times when the Cardinals visited the Ravens in 2007 and 2011, they underestimated the Cardinals. Ravens destroyed the Cardinals in 2007, only to let the Cardinals come back and almost win it. And then in 2011, they had to pull off a comeback against the Cardinals when the Cardinals were up like 23-7 early into the game. It was really bad. So yeah, Ravens, just like against the Dolphins, don't underestimate the Cardinals. Take them seriously. And if you do take them seriously, maybe you'll destroy them 59-10 like you did the Dolphins. I'm picking the Ravens for this one, but if the Cardinals win it, I will not be surprised whatsoever. And then it's the 49ers at the Bengals for the first time since 2011. How fun enough, because that last meet was in week 3. This one's not that far off, week 2, as the 49ers are trying to get to 2-0 for the first time since 2012. Meanwhile, the Bengals are trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2017. As the 49ers, they struggled against the Buccaneers too, but they dominate still, at least defensively, as they got that win. Meanwhile, the Bengals, oh my God, they almost beat the Seahawks in Seattle. Andy Dalton had a great game too. 420 yards almost. That was incredible. And because of that, even though they lost, I think I'm going to pick the Bengals for this one, because I always thought the 49ers might have gotten this one. But after the way the Bengals played against a tough team that made the playoffs last year on the road compared to the 49ers, who kind of struggled against a Buccaneers team, yeah, I'm picking the Bengals for this. And then it's the Chargers at the Lions for the first time since 2011, as the Chargers are trying to go 2-0 for the first time since, God, 2006, I believe the last time was. That's how long it's been. Jeez. Meanwhile, the Chargers, that was a close one. They spanked the Colts, but then they let them get that comeback and they won in overtime. Meanwhile, the Lions, you choked that 24-6 lead and end up getting a tie. That is not good whatsoever. Oh boy. Of course, I have some concerns about both these teams because they both had leads late and then they choked it. But I'm picking the Chargers for this one for right now. And then we get to a big NFC North matchup, how fun enough, just like this one was in week 2, as the Vikings are at the Packers, as the Vikings are trying to go 2-0 for the first time since 2016, and the Packers are trying to go 2-0 for the first time since 2015, as the Vikings, wow, they dominated against the Falcons, like we've been saying for like the last year or so, consistent, focus on running the ball, and you'll do really well, as they destroyed the Falcons. Oh my god, that was not expected. And the Packers, they struggled offensively, but Aaron Rodgers got that one drive needed against the Bears, and that's what all it mattered, as their defense, wow, their defense completely destroyed them in the game on Thursday night. As, of course, remember that tie they had last year when the Vikings made that comeback? I don't know if I don't fully trust the Vikings or the Packers or the home team, or I'm just impressed with how they played on Thursday night. But I'm picking the Packers to win this one again, just like I did last year. Let's see if they actually can get it instead of tying. And as the Jaguars at the Texans, as the Jaguars are trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2016, just like the Texans are trying to avoid 0-2 for the second year in a row. The Jaguars, that's why you shouldn't have put your trust in Nick Foles, as he's out for who knows how long, as you got crushed by the Chiefs. Although you put up 26 points, that's still impressive. So now you got that rookie quarterback, I don't even know his name off the top of my head, that you got to rely on. And the Texans, ouch! That hard-fought game that you should have beaten against the Texans when I thought you were going to get blown out. You fought hard, although Deshaun Watson getting sacked 6 times, which is the league lead right now. That's not good. You got to protect him better if you want to have any success this year, especially when we're up against a hard-fought defense this week. I'm picking the Texans for this one, but yeah, you got to protect Deshaun Watson. You're going to have no chance whatsoever this year. And then it's the Patriots at the Dolphins, as the Patriots try to go 2-0 for the first time since 2016, and the Dolphins are trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2016, as the Patriots absolutely dominant, destroying the Steelers. And I remember, that was without Antonio Brown, who they just picked up. So I think he might be able to play this week. So that was impressive. And the Dolphins, wow. I knew you were going to tank this year, but I didn't think you were going to get destroyed that badly against the Ravens. That was incredible. You made Lamar Jackson look like a Pro Bowler, for God's sake, and like an actual good quarterback. Holy shit, that is incredible. Now, if the Ravens could destroy you that badly, how much points do you think the Patriots are going to put up is the question. But remember, people that are probably picking the Patriots by default, the Patriots are 1-4 or 1-5 when they visit the Dolphins. I'm not kidding. They are 1-5 against the Dolphins since 2013. Their only game they won down there was 2016. Think about that. The Patriots won 3 Super Bowls, been to 4 of them, and the Dolphins have been shit except 2016, yet the Dolphins consistently beat the Patriots when they host them. So, do not underestimate them. I keep telling you this every damn year. Do not underestimate the Dolphins, no matter what. But I'm still going to pick the Patriots just because of that blowout. It was that convincing when they beat the Steelers, and then the Dolphins got destroyed by the Ravens, that I'm going to go against my better instincts, where I usually always pick the Dolphins, and I'm going to pick the Patriots for this one. Watch the Dolphins show up and beat them. And it's the Bills at the Giants for the first time since 2011, as the Bills are trying to go 2-0 for the first time since 2014, and the Giants are trying to avoid 0-2 for the 3rd year in a row. As, of course, the Bills stayed in New York the entire week, as they had to pull off that comeback against the Jets, although they did not look good in that game whatsoever. They just got luck with that comeback. Meanwhile, the Giants, other than Saquon Barkley, you got really nothing. Oh, Christ, this one's hard to predict, because the Bills struggled last week against the Jets, but they still managed to get the win. So I wonder if it's going to be like the situation here, where they probably need just one drive to get a touchdown to get the victory. And will it be enough for the Giants to beat him with Saquon? Oh boy, this is a tough one. Oh boy, I mean, the Bills haven't beaten the Giants in a long ass time either, so that's one negative in the regard too. Since, God, I don't think the Bills have beaten the Giants since 2003. That's how long it's been. And I'm just probably going to go against my better instincts, but I'm picking the Giants for this one. And that's the Seahawks at the Steelers for the first time since 2011, as the Seahawks are trying to go 2-0 for the first time since 2013, and the Steelers are trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2013 as well. As funny enough, the last time Seahawks visited the Steelers, that was in week 2 too, funny enough. And the Seahawks, oh boy, that was a close comeback you had to do against the Bengals. That was unexpected. I thought you were going to blow the shit out of them. Meanwhile, the Steelers got destroyed, absolutely destroyed by the Patriots. So you can't beat them in Foxborough. Oh boy. I know. This is going to go up against my better instincts because I'm sure the Steelers are going to play much better this week. But I'm picking the Seahawks for this one. Watch they choke it and let the Steelers beat the shit out of them. And then it's the Colts at the Titans, as the Colts are trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2017. Meanwhile, the Titans are trying to go 2-0 for the first time since 2008, I believe it was when I looked it up the other day. While the Colts, they struggled against the Chargers, but then they pull off that incredible comeback, but they just couldn't stop the Chargers in overtime. Meanwhile, the Titans absolutely destroyed and dismantled the Browns. Although I think a lot of that was more of just like the Browns just collapsed in the fourth quarter. Because remember, the Titans were only up like 15-3 or whatever it was. Like going to the fourth quarter, whatever it was. They got like the vast majority of their points in the fourth quarter because the Browns just kept shooting themselves in the foot. Oh boy, that's going to be a tough one to pick. Because remember, historically too, the last bunch of years when the Colts had Andrew Luck, they were undefeated against the Titans. But when they didn't have Luck, they got swept by the Titans. Although the Titans themselves barely beat the Colts those times, and the Colts have gotten much better since then. The Titans, I think they've kind of gotten worse since the 2 years ago. And they did destroy the Browns. The Colts made the comeback against the Chargers. God, I almost want to say this game almost could be a tie pretty much, but I don't think that's going to be a case. I probably with the slightest edge would probably give it to the Colts. But I won't be surprised if the Titans somehow destroy them. And it's the Cowboys at the Redskins as the Cowboys try to go 2-0 for the first time since 2015, as the Redskins try to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2013, I mean to say, as the Cowboys dominated against the Giants. Wow. The funny thing in that game was against the Giants, it was Dak that was good. He completed like 87% of his passes or whatever, and he had 4 touchdowns. That was like the best game of his career. Zeke was non-factor in that game, believe it or not. That was impressive. And the Redskins, oof. You fought and you had a good game against the Eagles, but then you choked it in the end. Now, this game between these two have gone back and forth the last bunch of years. 2016, the Cowboys swept in close games. 2017, they blew them out, swept them in both games. Then last year, they were close games, but the home team won it. Oh, man, I really, for the life of me, don't really know what to pick. And, of course, every time I pick, like, one team when they visit the Redskins, it always ends up being the other case. And I guess I'm going to be this case once again, as I'm probably foolishly going to pick the Redskins somehow, as I'm not fully sure the Cowboys can keep up that momentum. I think that dominant performance was more against the Giants than them actually being that good. And then we get to the 4 p.m. game, starting off with the Chiefs at the Raiders, as the Chiefs trying to go 2-0 for the third year in a row, and the Raiders are trying to go 2-0 for the first time since 2017, as the Chiefs, Tyreek Hill down for the next bunch of weeks, that's going to hurt, but hey, Patrick Mahomes still being a beast, so they're still clicking on offense despite like all the injuries or whatever. Meanwhile, the Raiders, wow, so much for Antonio Brown distraction that everyone kept saying that was going to affect them. I still thought they were going to win, and they did. Not only did they win, they won in dominant fashion, completely shut down the Broncos defense. They shut down their offense pretty much too. That offense and defense was clicking that entire night. That honestly looked like the best performance I've seen the Raiders do since that 2016 team. And even though the last bunch of years, the Chiefs have been very dominant when they visit the Raiders. They've only lost one time, I believe, in the last 5 years, and that was 2016. 2017. 2014 is when the Raiders got their first win. But the Chiefs have done really, really good. But they can't underestimate the Raiders because these last bunch of years, the Raiders have played tough against the Chiefs as well. So, Chiefs, do not underestimate them. The way the Raiders played last Monday was the best I saw in years. But I'm still going to pick the Chiefs for this one. But I will not be surprised whatsoever if the Raiders actually somehow do it. And then it's the Bears at the Broncos for the first time since 2011. As the Bears are trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2017. And the Broncos are trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since I actually looked it up, 1999, the last time the Broncos went 0-2. 1999, 20 years ago, my God. As the Bears, oh my God. Your defense, honestly looked better than it did last year, the way they played against the Packers. Except you let them get that one drive that the Packers got that touchdown to win it, but their offense was absolute garbage and shit. And I was thinking this week, oh god, if they play that badly, the Broncos will probably destroy them. But now, after seeing the Broncos play, the Broncos honestly thought were even worse. Their defense did not play anywhere near as good as they should have done, and their offense, of course, went absolutely nowhere. And now you gotta have like probably the better defense come in now after that performance. I thought the entire season, especially after that first night game with the Packers, I thought the Broncos were gonna easily win this. But after the way the Broncos played, I'm picking the Bears still for this one, believe it or not. It's incredible how much just a few days of watch it just changes your predicament. And then we get our NFC Championship rematch as the Saints are at the Rams for the first time since 2017, as the Saints try to go 2-0 for the first time since 2013. Meanwhile, the Rams are trying to go 2-0 for the second year in a row. As the Saints, oh boy, that was a close one. I was getting a little bit worrisome against the Texans, but they managed to make that comeback because the Texans choked it. Meanwhile, the Rams, I thought they were going to choke and have a hangover against the Panthers, but they actually played hard, and they actually, I think, led the entire game pretty much. That was impressive. Now, of course, the Saints are going to want their revenge from that NFC Championship loss, especially that no call. But there's one thing that always consistently bugs the Saints, that's been an entire damn decade. They always lose to the Rams when they visit them. I'm not kidding when I'm saying that. I don't even remember the last time the Saints beat the Rams when they're on the road, because that's how long it's been since they've beaten them. And God, barely beat them in 2009 when the Rams were the worst team probably that decade, and the Saints went on to win the Super Bowl. They lost in 2011 when they were a Super Bowl team, and the Rams were very bad. Lost in 2013, lost in 2017, and oh my God, the Saints cannot beat the Rams when they're on the road. And I think that's going to be the case this week, especially after seeing how much the Saints struggled. I think the Rams are going to get this. And then we get to Sunday night, a rematch from week one's kickoff game. And how funny if they put this on Sunday night again for whatever reason, as it's the Eagles at the Falcons for the first time since, God, 2015. Yeah, that was 2015. That was a Monday night as well, as the Eagles try to go 2-0 for the first time since 2016. Meanwhile, the Falcons are trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2007 when Michael Vick was gone for the dogfight and shit. That's how long it's been since the Falcons were 0-2. As the Eagles, they struggled at first against the Redskins, because I was forced to watch that game, and they were booing them like crazy. But then they made that incredible comeback and got the victory. Meanwhile, the Falcons, holy shit, you got destroyed by the Vikings. My God, what happened? That was a terrible performance by them. Now, of course, remember these last few years, that divisional round game and the kickoff game last year when it was at the Eagles held on at the goal line in a defensive struggle to beat the Falcons, but now that's finally at the Falcons. Despite their struggles and despite the Eagles' comeback, I think I'm going to pick the Falcons still for this one. And then we get to Monday night, of course, to celebrate the first Monday night game ever in the NFL still. They keep bringing it up, as it's the Browns at the Jets for the first time since 2015, as the Browns are trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2017, and the Jets are trying to avoid 0-2 for the first time since 2017. As, wow, the Browns got absolutely destroyed by the Titans last week. That was absolutely atrocious how they played. That was embarrassing. And the Jets also, you played better than the Bills, yet you let Josh Allen make that comeback on you. That's really embarrassing too. After the way they played this week, I thought I was going to pick the Jets for this one, but for all of you who just don't know, I just found out earlier today on Twitter that Sam Darnold is not playing this Monday night for some reason or not. So they're not going to have Sam Darnold whatsoever, which is going to be the mainstream for their offense. And Le'Veon Bell's not going to be enough whatsoever. So despite their terrible performance against the Titans, I think that was more of just a fluke and a complete collapse in the fourth quarter if you saw how they played that game. I'm picking the Browns for this one simply because at least they're going to have their quarterback playing, unlike the Jets. So those are my picks for week 2. I can't wait for Buccaneers at Panthers tonight and all the other games. So see you guys then. Hopefully I'll do much better with my picks this week. And tune in then for week 3 next Thursday afternoon.